Hi there. Welcome again to Artisans Alley. We're here at the Vernon Community Arts Centre, art in the heart of Polson Park. And today I'm here with Laurel Fredin, a very talented artist on many fronts. So thanks for being here, Laurel.
You're very welcome.
What are you going to do today?
I'm going to throw a 10-pound bowl.
10 pounds of clay?
I know.
Doesn't that beat you
10
up?
pounds. Well, there could be a glistening of sweat.
Okay, all right. All right, bring it on. You're speeding up.
Yep,
what are you doing?
high. I'm going to center first.
Okay.
So first I'm just going to get rid of all the lumps and the bumps.
Okay. Did you already wedge this, right?
Yep, I wedged it ahead of time.
And that's
so everybody wouldn't have to watch me wedge.
the opposite of kneading, getting the air bubbles out, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I'm coning it. So you want to get it into a nice big cone, but because it's such a big piece of clay, I don't really cone the whole thing.
Okay.
Well, you can kind of cheat. Like I'm propping my elbow into my waist here, and you just kind of lean into it, and then the clay has nowhere to go. But listen.
Okay. There's something about pottery, especially when I watch you throw pottery. There's like music when you are, especially when you're centering your clay. I've watched you many times. I've taken a workshop with you, and you're lyrical with the clay, and I really enjoy watching
That sounds lovely.
And so when you're combing and doming, basically, what are you doing?
I am bringing the clay up into the cone. It helps get the clay ready for when you throw. Sort of brings everything into alignment, right? Like
Lining up all the molecules.
all the molecules.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Trying not to be too scientific about it, but that's basically what's happening.
Okay.
And it helps get all the lumps and the bumps out and gets the clay going in the right direction. So when you throw it, everything lines up.
In a perfect world, it would always
ideally,
do that.
you know.
I like that though. Okay, and this clay is 340?
This is 340, yeah.
Right.
It's a nice, easy clay to throw. It gives a bit of a grayish color when it's finished, and it has a little bit of a fleck in it.
Okay.
Okay, so now I'm going to open. I'm centered, within reason. It's still got a tiny wobble.
Okay.
But if we don't tell anybody, they won't know.
I'm not saying a word. My lips are sealed.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay,
And I have to tell everybody who's watching this, she's making this look extremely easy, but 10 pounds of clay would beat a lot of us up. Like you're the boss of that clay, and I'm pretty impressed. And so you went to school in Abbotsford, right?
I did, yep, at the Fraser Valley College there. It's now the University of the Fraser Valley.
And what were you doing there? Was it clay or printmaking?
I did a couple years of clay, but it wasn't my real area of study. I did painting and printmaking, and then I did graphic design because I figured at some point I had to pay the bills.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, so still doing graphic design, still doing a little bit of painting, not nearly as much printmaking as I'd like to, although we now have some printmaking here.
We do. We have two print presses on loan to us here at the Arts Centre, and have you tried them yet?
Nope.
Wow.
No, but I'm excited to do it. I'm hoping this fall maybe I'll be able to get in there.
Cool. And you still do some design work, but you're also you have a studio in your
freelance from home for graphic design still, and I pot mostly from home, and I teach here still. Okay, I'm going to be brave now, and I'm going to pull up my walls.
Okay.
I've been busy compressing my floor.
Which is important.
Yeah, you want to make sure you compress your floor nice and flat so you don't get any cracks. Yeah.
The evil S crack.
Yeah.
And you left a fair bit down there. Would you say like a half inch?
Yeah, and if I was smart, I would check it here.
Ooh.
I have left a half inch. And then because I poked a hole, I'm just going to compress over it one more time and it'll just disappear. Okay, here we go. And then with each pull, you just want to go a little slower.
I always feel like when you're throwing, there's 64 things you're supposed to remember to do, and on a good day, I remember 27.
Yeah, well, it's true. And in the beginning, it's really hard to remember any of them, right? So it's sort of step by step. But then after a while, it just kind of becomes, you don't really think about it, it just happens.
I noticed the work your students are doing is really improving. Like,
Is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool.
This
it's
was
very neat to see.
Yeah, fifth class was this morning, and by fifth class, I feel like people are finally catching on. They're being able to center properly. They can pull up the walls. I can talk them through what they're doing wrong now, and they know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, so you always want it to be wet. So I just keep adding more water, and then slowing it down a little bit.
See what I mean? Like it's lyrical. It's much like glass bead making. I get mesmerized when the wheel's going around, but you're not struggling with it. It's like you're telling the clay what to do.
Yeah, and know when to say when, right? That's the hard part. Because you always want to just go one more pull. I can do one more pull.
Go a little bit
Sure,
higher.
I can. Okay, I'm going to do a couple more here.
So you're going to pull it again?
I'm going to do a
You're a
couple
wild
more.
woman.
Yeah. Well, you got 10 pounds. You might as well see how big you can get your bowl. All right, it's right in here at the foot that everybody has a hard time getting it out of,
Yeah.
myself included. There we
Well, and
go.
then once you get too big, it's better to leave some on the foot and carve it off after when you're trimming.
Yeah. There, I got a bit of it.
Holy schmoly, look at this bowl.
Okay, there's still a little bit in there. Should I give it one more?
Go for it. What the heck?
Okay. One more. Ever so slow. See, there we got the wheel down a bit more.
That's important.
Yeah. Okay.
And so you don't even have to do correction on the
No,
outside
I
shape,
could
right?
leave the outside. Yeah, I usually take a rib and I clean up the outside because I like to carve the outside of my big bowls.
Mm-hmm.
Just gonna finish my floor, put a spiral back into it.
And that's a deliberate design
Yeah.
element that you add, because is it also partially about the glaze pooling and making the design
Yeah. I
accentuated?
really like how the glaze accents in the bottom there on the rolls of the clay here.
And spirals are part of
What I like
art
to do.
forms in so many
Yeah.
cultures
Yep.
too, right?
And nature and yep.
Fibonacci and
Yes.
snails and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
So am I good to clean up the outside here?
Yeah. Looks good.
Okay, I'm just gonna tidy with my rib. My favorite, it's my best friend. We've been friends for a decade.
And it still seems like it's climbing too, or is that just the...
Yeah, you get a little bit more of a pull out of it.
But your rim is still nice and thick and sturdy, so that's going to be
Yeah,
strong.
hopefully it all stays.
Beauty.
Okay, and now
Okay.
this will sit for about a week.
A week.
Yeah, I'll leave it sit for about a week just to get a little firmer so that I can trim the foot.
Okay.
There we go.
Beautiful. Brava, brava, Laurel.
Yay, big bowl.
So the next step after this is dried for a week is you're going to trim it.
Yep,
Correct? You're
so-
going to make a foot on the...
Yeah, I'm gonna
pot?
make a foot and I'm gonna trim off all the excess clay and it helps you make a nicer shape out of your bowl. Gets
Okay.
rid of the extra weight.
All right, this will be interesting.
Okay, so my bat looks terribly centered, but what's important here, terribly uncentered, is that it's centered at the top of the bowl where you're gonna be trimming.
Okay, so just ignore the bottom part.
Yep.
All right, I'll try.
I probably put it on the wrong holes on the underside. So you just slowly
right.
work your way in a concentric ring out to the edge.
So other than thinning the pot, getting rid of excess weight, and also creating sort of that little platform of giving it the element of lift, what other purpose does making a foot give you?
Yeah, you nailed it.
That's pretty well
Yeah,
it?
yeah. It's really some of it's like visual, right? You
Yeah.
want to create a foot that looks good to your pot, helps shape the outside of it.
And some people glaze on the inside of their foot too, right?
Yeah, if you have enough clay left in the bottom and you can trim out enough, you can do like there's some potters that do lovely decorative stuff. Yeah,
striggle,
on the
right?
underside. Yeah. Yeah, I tend not to do a big foot on the underside. On these big bowls, I'll do a bit more.
Yeah.
But most of my pottery, I find, I just tell people put it in the dishwasher. So if there's a a hole on the underside, then it's a water catcher.
Right.
So I tend not to do a lot of a trim on the underside.
Yes. And foot seems like such a strange word for it, but basically it's a dip in the bottom of the piece.
It is and it isn't though, right? Because most of the pottery has, like, we refer to most of it as a body language, right? Like they have a neck,
a lip,
and a body,
okay,
and a foot, and yeah, right? So there's lots of body terminology in it in potting. Okay, so here I'm just defining the outside edge of where I want to carve that inside piece away.
Okay.
So I start at the middle again, and it's just slow and gentle out to that outside edge. Okay, tidying up the foot. Then I'm going to give a little groove on the side here, and you always try and leave at least a 1/4 inch at the bottom where you don't glaze. Because if you glaze all the way down to the bottom of the pot, you risk glazing it onto the kiln shelf.
And greatly displeasing the studio
Yes,
technicians.
greatly
Yeah.
displeasing, yes. And losing
wrecking
your
your
pot.
pot.
Yeah. And especially,
Yeah.
like, if you've spent a bit of time on it, nobody wants that. Just
That's
trying
the
to
thing until you
blend.
get to know the different glazes. I would have appreciated maybe a little more insight into which glazes ran.
Yeah, I try and talk people through the ones, as long as I'm familiar with them here, I try and talk
That's
people
quite
through which
lovely
ones.
shape. I really like it.
Yeah, so I've just kind of followed the outside shape of my pot and then just trimmed a foot in at the edge here. Gives me a nice place to stop my glaze. All right, does that look right?
Yep,
That looks pretty
great.
good. Okay, so then keep it spinning. Tidy up a little bit with my sponge.
Smooth out the carving marks.
Smooth out the carving marks. Lumps and bumps in the bottom.
The other thing I love about your pots is your signature.
I will do that.
Okay.
Okay, it was a cheat. I can't even claim to fame on that one. I was watching a YouTube lady once, a couple of years ago, and she did this thing, and I just had this epiphany where I went, why didn't I know that? So, it's a wet bottom and a thick piece of plastic,
Okay.
and then just sign your name with a pen. Voila! Right?
Voila.
So easy.
It's beautiful.
There.
And it's
okay.
an elegant touch to the bottom of the pot.
Yeah, well, and it also means, like, usually if you use a pen or a pin tool or whatever, then you have to go back over it with a sponge and clean it up again. Where if you do it this way through the plastic gets rid of the rough edge.
That's just a pretty face. I love it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's trimming.
That was trimming.
Okay, so now I see that you've incised a design of your beautiful swirls along the side of your greenware that is leather heart.
Yes.
Okay, so that means it's been drying long enough that it'll stand up to what you're going to do to
Yeah,
it.
this
You're
has
going to
been
abuse
sitting
the
for about a
bowl.
week. I finished trimming the foot, and now I'm going to carve into it. And I
Okay.
always draw my pattern first. So I draw everything by freehand, but it's sort of, I still mark myself a guide, right? So I divide it into quarters, and then I divide that into eighths, and then I draw on my pattern, and it's freehand. So, like, it's not a perfect, it's
They're
not a perfect
pretty
pattern,
perfect.
but if you want perfect, go to the bay. And then it's really just slowly carving in.
I had no idea you did these all freehand because they're always so perfect.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I do. And it's sort of, I kind of have like a kit of tools, like a kit of parts, for like things that I put on it. It's usually swirl related. One goes forward, one goes backward, one comes off the other one. I feel like I'm cheating really, but it's sort of just what I've developed.
Well, if it's not broken, why fix it? And it's kind of a signature thing with you.
Yeah, and honestly, I do it because it makes me happy. It does, right? So there's the beginning.
Look at that. Beautiful, but it's so perfect. Okay, do another one.
Yeah, I usually continue off the one here. So,
And again, another reason for using that much clay is that you can carve away and still have a
yeah.
structurally sound piece.
Come on, you.
And those are also pockets where the glaze is going to be different too, right?
Yeah, the glaze will catch depending on what color you use. You can get a change of color sometimes even. There, it's coming, hey?
Oh, gracious, look at that. Yeah, it's fabulous. So there's, you throw it, you wait a week,
Yeah,
you trim it,
yeah,
you carve it,
yeah, and I often trim and carve the same day.
okay? And then it gets fired in a bisque firing.
And it'll come out and then it's ready to glaze.
That's right.
And then so that'll be your second firing.
So a very labor-intensive labor of love that you're doing here.
Yeah. Yeah, but I do love it.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. So there's 1 of 4, right?
Wow, so this is a repeat pattern that
I-
you would go the rest of the way around.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, so Laurel, besides teaching at the Vernon Community Arts Centre in Polson Park, you also have your work for sale in a number of different venues, right?
I do.
Where would people find your
I
work?
am here in our lobby at the Vernon Arts Centre.
In the lobby shop?
Yeah.
Okay,
I am in the Vernon Art Gallery in the gift shop.
okay.
I am in the Pink Spotted Goat. I'm in Salmon Arm. And I'm in Kelowna. And I'm in a little tiny store in Princeton where I grew up.
And you have a website, right?
And I definitely have a
And
website.
what is your website?
laurelfredin.ca.
laurelfredin.ca. And are you on a business page on Facebook?
I have a business page called Laurel's Boutique.
Thanks, Laurel, for joining us here at the Vernon Community Arts Centre. And please come and join us again at Artisans Alley.